What's going on, guys? My name is Twinkle Toes, and before we get into today's video, I know it's been a long time, but I'm just going to describe to you what's going on. I was trying to figure out a way for me to build my channel just a little bit more. I also took a break due to college and stuff, but I'm officially coming back now, and I'm going to be doing some For Honor videos, but it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to start a series on For Honor, and that's a tutorial series. So I'm going to be running through all the characters of For Honor, how to play them, basic combos, abilities, feint potentials, stuff like that, and my overall personal opinion on how the characters should be played, how good they are, everything like that. So in order to build my channel, I'm going to start doing some tutorial videos. With your guys' support, I won't just stop at For Honor. I love all kinds of fighting games, so I will be uploading Mortal Kombat if that's what you guys want to see. I am currently playing Overwatch for college, so if you guys want to see some Overwatch characters, I will also be doing that. Or any other games you guys recommend me to play, I'm going to start doing some tutorial series. So this channel is going to become sort of a tutorial series channel for a little bit. I will be uploading some regular videos from time to time, though. If you guys want to see more of those, also let me know. But I'm just giving you guys a heads up that tutorials will be coming a lot. I know they've been done in the past, but For Honor is almost a completely different game now than it was a while back ago. So I'm just going to go through every character, starting with the Vanguards, and just going from there. So without further ado, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will catch you all in the next tutorial. See you. Hello, what's going on, my party people? My name is Twinkle Toes, and welcome to the first episode of my tutorial series. And to just do a breakdown of the tutorial series, it's where I'm going to be going through characters in For Honor for the current season and up. I'm going to be going through this in sort of categories, and I'm going to, if you guys want to skip ahead, I fully understand if you want to just cover one part. So as I'm listing these out, I will post them on the screen for you right now. So the certain categories we're going to go over is the overview, just a basic overview of the character and what they are. Their combos is the second part. The third part is their abilities, what makes them unique. And then we're going to go into feint options, and last but not least is out of stamina punishes. So all of those are posted on the screen for you right now, and today we are going to be covering the Warden, who's the basic Vanguard, I would say, of the Knight faction. So without further ado, we're going to get into this gameplay and start out with the overview. So we've hopped into the training mode, and right now I'm just going to go over a quick overview of the character and my experience with him. So Warden is actually my highest rep character. He's probably also one of my favorite characters, which is why I'm starting with him, but there's also another reason. He is actually one of the Vanguards. He is the only Vanguard in the Knight faction, and he is probably one of the simplest characters in the game. He doesn't have that many movesets when it comes to combos, but he does have strong abilities. Now, when it comes to other Vanguards and comparing the Warden again is the simplest, in my opinion, from what I looked at the movesets, the simplest Vanguard and almost the simplest character in the game, minus about two other characters. Warden is a great starting class for any new players that come to the game, but also holds challenges for advanced players that want to stick with him, especially when it comes to his abilities and feint potential. So that pretty much concludes the overview about the Warden. There's not really much to say. He's a basic character. He's very fun to play with powerful abilities and limited combos. So without further ado, we're going to get into the second part of this video, which is his combos. So to start out the combo section of this guide, we're actually going to be taking a look at his moveset. I am playing on a PS4, so the PS4 controls. So you'll have to adapt that to whatever console you guys are on. So in order to look at the combos, he only really has 3 set combos, and you can tell by the blue chain link on the left side of each description of his combos. So the only combos he has is Vanguard's Advance, which is a light heavy attack, Guardian's Assault, which is a right heavy attack, and Warden's Wrath, which is 2 heavy attacks in a row. I'm going to show you and demonstrate how to perform these combos and something that makes them unique when it comes to heavy finishers. Alright, so to start off, I've highlighted the combos on the right upper hand of the screen so you guys can look at them as I perform them. So, to start off, we're going to start out with Vanguard's Advance. Now, what makes this unique is for the Warden, if you side light an opponent, you are guaranteed another light attack, which is what the 2 lights are in Vanguard's Advance. So if we attack on the left side, the other attack, the second one, will be confirmed. They cannot block the second attack. However, if you attack on the top, it is not guaranteed. It is a separate attack that an opponent can block. Now we're going to go into the full Vanguard's Advance combo, which you can start by doing side lights or top lights and finishing with a heavy attack. You can also do the same thing with top lights. Now, what makes the finishing heavy of this combo, as well as the other 2 combos, Guardian's Assault and Warden's Wrath, is if you finish your heavy finisher on the top, it is unblockable, meaning the opponent can only parry the attack. You can tell by the glowing yellow effect that the character has. Next combo is Guardian's Assault, pretty much like Vanguard's Advance, except instead you only perform 1 light attack. This can also be finished with an unblockable top-heavy finisher. So the last combo is Warden's Wrath. Now this is 2 heavy attacks combined in a row, and again can be finished with an unblockable top-heavy finisher. So, to be honest, guys, that is the end of the combos for Warden. He's very limited when it comes to his combos, but the next part is the abilities, and that is where the Warden shines and why I love him so much. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the ability part of this video, which makes the Warden unique. So to start the ability section, we're going to be starting on the moveset again. And we're going to have these 2 abilities at the bottom right here. Valiant Breakthrough, but especially the Shoulder Bash. So going into the abilities, I've again tagged the abilities we're going to be using on the top right corner. And we're going to be starting with the most simple ability, which is Valiant Breakthrough. The only thing that you're required to do is to dodge forward and press the heavy attack button, which will go into a lunge that is moderately fast but is still reactable to your opponent. This move can also be chained into other heavy attacks. For instance, a top heavy finisher that is unblockable or a side heavy finisher. Valiant Breakthrough is a good move if your opponent is trying to roll away from you or back dodge out of one of your attacks. We'll get more into that on feint options in part 4, but just so you know, it is valuable for those that are trying to run from you, roll away from you, or back dodge. Now we're going to get into what makes the Warden especially unique, and that is his Shoulder Bash. To perform the Shoulder Bash, all you need to do is dodge in any direction and then hit Guard Break, which is square on PS4. This is completely unblockable and it will shove the enemy backwards just a little bit. You can also charge the Shoulder Bash to shove them backwards even more, and it will grant you Hyper Armor, which will not allow you to be interrupted. All you have to do is dodge in any direction and hold the square button. Now the Shoulder Bash can be followed up with damage attacks. The regular Shoulder Bash can be followed up with a light attack, which can be demonstrated this way. Or you can do side light attacks and get a guaranteed 2 side lights. For the charged Shoulder Bash, it actually guarantees you light attacks or a heavy attack, which is very interesting to mix up your opponent. In order to use the charged shoulder bash truly effectively, I would go with the top heavy attack. It is a guaranteed 40 damage if your charged shoulder bash hits, unlike light attacks, which only does about 18. Shoulder bash can be chained from light attacks from the Warden. Any light attack that you land, you can perform a shoulder bash. It's not guaranteed, but you can perform it. It is simply done by performing a light attack and hitting the guard break button. You can also chain it from the 2 side lights that you get from light attacks. So to fully use the shoulder bash, it will look something like this. So right off the start, the shoulder bash is a great way to mix up your opponent and keep them guessing on what you're going to do next. But on the next part of the guide, we will be going into feint options, which will even mix up your opponent even more when it comes to shoulder bash. So without further ado, we're going to get involved in the feint options the Warden has. So before we even start of the feint options the Warden has unique to his character, we're going to talk about feints in general first, just for the basics of new players. So in order to perform a feint, it's very simple. You can perform a feint after any heavy attack that you perform simply by clicking the circle button on PS4 or the B button on Xbox. You will go into your attack, but fake out of it, and there will be a missed effect that follows. This is a great way to trick your opponents into trying to parry your attacks so you can react. So now when it comes to Warden feints, he can feint out of any heavy in his string. So for instance, if you want to try Warden's Wrath, you can go through with the first one and feint the second one. You can also feint the top unblockable of your heavy finishers. There is one more thing that the Warden has the ability to feint, and that is his shoulder bash. If you use your shoulder bash and hit circle or the feint button before you charge forward, you will fake out of the shoulder bash. You can also do this anytime while you are charging it. You can delay the feint. You can feint the shoulder bash at any time as long as you do it before you start moving forward. Be sure to not do it too late, or else it will go through and the opponent has an opportunity to dodge. The latest you can feint is when you see the Warden start to move his legs just a little bit forward. After that, the shoulder bash is going to go through. So knowing the Warden's feint potential, we're going to get into his feint follow-ups, what he can do and strategies to do out of his feints. We're going to start with him feinting out of his heavy attack. Something personal that I like to do is to feint out of a side heavy into a top light and go into my combos from there. For example, you'll have to be very quick on your joystick with this because you'll have to change the direction of your attack as you are feinting your attack. This can also be performed from your unblockable, for they will try to parry your unblockable, and before they can hit you, you will land a light attack on top of them. Another easy feint mix-up is guard breaking out of a feint. In order to do this, you're just going to simply feint out of a heavy attack and hit the guard break button. This is a good strategy to get a good side heavy on an opponent while tricking them into trying to parry your heavy attack. If you're facing an opponent that is pretty defensive and tanky, you can try multiple feints at once. And what I mean by this is using the feint once, leading into another heavy attack, and feinting again. This is where you're going to have to know your controller very well, or you will mess this up. So now we get into what I think are tricky feint follow-ups almost for advanced players, and this goes for the shoulder bash feint mix-ups. What you can do after feinting a shoulder bash. So in order to start this out, we're going to simply start with basic feint mix-up, which is guard breaking out of a shoulder bash. In order to do this, you're going to perform a shoulder bash, feint, and hit the guard break button. You can also do this out of a charged heavy to try to convince them to dodge even more. You can also perform light attacks out of shoulder bash. I would not recommend this though, because if they dodge, they will most likely dodge your light attacks as well, because the light attack tracking of Warden isn't that great, but it is an option if they just stand there. Another thing you can do is combine the shoulder bash feint with Valiant Breakthrough, and this will track no matter how far they dodge or roll. This is what, again, you're going to have to know your controller very well, for you're going to have to feint your shoulder bash and then dodge forward into a heavy attack. You can also feint out of some of your basic combos into a shoulder bash, simply by feinting one of your heavy attacks, dodging, and performing the shoulder bash to get guaranteed sidelights. You also can perform a charged heavy out of your heavy feint to try to trick up your opponent even more. If you wanted to get into a advanced feint mix-up, you can perform a feint out of a heavy attack, shoulder bash, feint the shoulder bash, and guard break into a side heavy attack. So that is the base on the feint potential. Obviously, I can't cover the feint potential because there are almost an unlimited options depending on what kind of player you are, even for a basic person like the Warden. If you mix up your shoulder bashes as well as your heavy attacks, you are going to be on your road to becoming a master Warden, and the ability to mess with your opponent's mind, keep them guessing on what you're going to do with your shoulder bashes, which is pretty much what the Warden needs to do to be successful. You really have to utilize that shoulder bash and shoulder bash feint mix-up. So when your opponent is out of stamina, you can actually push them down to the ground by throwing them in the direction after a guard break. This guarantees you some heavy punishes that differ from each character. Now, Warden's out of stamina punish isn't the best, but he does have a good option. And to be totally honest, the only options I have found are top heavy attacks or using Guardian's Assault. So to start, we're just going to be simply demonstrating the first part, which is just the simple top heavy attack once throwing your opponent in any direction. This is guaranteed. If they fall down in any direction you throw them, you can get a top heavy attack. Now, your best out of stamina option is Guardian's Assault. This is doing a top light into a top heavy finisher. This guarantees you over 50 damage upon throwing a person to the ground. To me, to be most safe with it, you would throw your opponent to the right side. This is what I've experienced the most, is that it is almost, well, pretty much guaranteed when you throw your person to the right that you can land Guardian's Assault, and it will look like this. Before they can get up to block, they will be hit by both attacks, which does over 50 damage. You can perform it in any other direction, but to me, it just looks safer upon throwing them to the right. For some reason, they get up faster when you throw them backwards or you kick them forwards. So for me, and my personal experience, I would just suggest throwing them to the right to perform this stamina punish. So again, this is something the Warden is pretty limited on, but also very dangerous. He only has really two good out of stamina punish options, but it still lands one that does over 50 damage. So keeping that in mind, we're going to go on to the final part of this guide, which is parry options for the Warden. So to start out the parry options part of this guide, we're actually going to need to discuss how to parry an attack. Now, how to parry an attack, it's very easy. All you must do is hit the heavy attack button right before an attack hits you. There's a little white flash on the red indicator that an opponent does. This is the signal for you to press your heavy attack button and parry their attack away. Now, when it comes to parrying attacks, you can actually do an attack of your own after you parry. For Warden, the best punish to do after parrying a heavy attack is to perform 2 side lights. You can also perform a top light, but it does less damage and the second attack is not confirmed. Upon parrying and using your side lights, this also gives you an opening opportunity into doing shoulder bash combos or finishing with a heavy finisher. Now, when it comes to light attacks for parrying for Warden, parrying a light attack will actually guarantee him a top heavy, which is very useful for getting your damage out there, for it is 40 damage on a light parry. So leading from that top heavy, you can actually lead into an unblockable top heavy as well to finish out the chain, or you can feint it. With this season, parrying has actually become harder to do. I don't know why, it could just be me, but be careful when doing light attacks because the parry timing on lights apparently for me has changed since last time I played this, which actually wasn't that long ago. So there was an update about parries, so just keep that in mind. Light attacks will be harder to parry than they used to be. Another counter option the Warden actually has that is unique to his character is a crushing counter strike. Now, to perform the crushing counter strike, your opponent will need to attack from the top, and in order, it's just like a parry, more precise timing, but all you have to do is hit the light attack on a parry option for a top heavy, or a top light if you can time it right. This does 40 damage upon hitting, and it is something unique to the Warden class. And if you want, there is a way to follow it up. You can actually get a guaranteed top light after a crushing counter strike. You can also lead into shoulder bashes after you do those lights, but it is not guaranteed. And that concludes the guide to Warden. I hope you guys have enjoyed this in-depth guide. If there is something I missed, please do not hesitate to put it in the comments below to help out people that actually read the comments, so in case I missed something, because I guarantee you I probably did. There's so much involving in these characters, even simple ones like the Warden. But without further ado, guys, I hope you did enjoy. Please feel to like and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next video.